Ever wish you could, like, eavesdrop on a conversation between dolphins? What's they on with all those clicks and whistles? Like
Yeah.
the ultimate mystery language, right?
Right.
Well, get this. We're going to deep dive into a project that's using some seriously cool tech, even help from folks like you listening, to try and decode it all.
It's called the Cetalingua Project.
Cetalingua.
Yeah. So before we get into the really out there stuff, set the stage for us. People have been trying to figure out dolphin communication for, what, decades?
Oh, yeah, at least since the 70s, even earlier, if you go back to some of the initial studies.
Yeah.
The 70s is when it got really big.
Really? What happened then?
Well, it was the space race. People were fascinated by space, by aliens, and, well, dolphins were kind of the closest thing we had to an intelligent alien right here on Earth. Okay, so everyone thought, let's learn to talk to dolphins. Then they'll introduce us to the aliens.
Pretty much. Even big names like Carl Sagan were involved, speculating about what kind of messages dolphins might be sending back and forth.
Wow, so what happened? Why aren't we all learning Dolphin 101 in school if it was such a big deal?
Turns out it's way more complicated than folks first thought. I mean, a lot of those early attempts, they hit a wall because they were approaching it all wrong.
How so?
They were so stuck on the idea that dolphin communication would be like human language. They were looking for direct translations. This whistle means hello, that click means danger.
Dolphins don't experience the world the way we do at all. It'd be like trying to understand a painting as if it were a poem. They're just completely different forms of expression.
And that's a really important point. One scientist who really got that was John Lilly. He was a neuroscientist, but also a pioneer in studying dolphin communication.
Okay, I've heard his name. Didn't he have some controversial methods, though?
Yeah.
I vaguely remember something about.
He did, but Lilly was onto something really important. See, he argued that we were going about it all wrong because we rely so much on our vision, on our eyes.
Makes sense, we're visual creatures.
Right, but dolphins, their world is sound, it's sonar, it's echoes. Trying to understand their communication just through our visual lens, Lilly said that was like trying to describe color to someone who's been blind their whole life. It just doesn't translate. And that's where things get really interesting.
Okay, I'm hooked. So how do we get past that? How do we even begin to understand a completely different sensory world?
Well, what if we could borrow another set of senses, so to speak? Ones that aren't limited by our human perception.
You're talking about AI, aren't you?
Yeah.
Everyone's talking about AI these days, but this actually seems like a perfect fit.
Because AI, especially machine learning, it's really good at finding patterns, even tiny hidden ones, in massive amounts of data. Imagine AI as like the ultimate sound engineer. It can listen to hours and hours of those dolphin clicks, whistles, all that, and start noticing patterns we might completely miss.
So it's like AI can hear the structure in what seems like chaos to us.
Yeah. But this is just the tip of the iceberg,
Right, because to really train those AI models, they need a ton of data, right? More than scientists could ever collect on their own.
And that's where it gets really cool, and this is the heart of the Cetalingua project. They figured out a way to get everyone involved. So you record some dolphins, right? Then you upload it to Cetalingua's platform. But here's the key. You get to actually label the recording.
Label, like what's going on? Are they fighting, playing, just hanging out?
Yeah. You're giving the AI context, teaching it to understand the difference between a feeding call and a warning call, for example.
Wow, so it's like we're all collaborating on this giant dolphin dictionary.
And the more people who participate, the smarter the AI gets, and the closer we get to finally unlocking the secrets of dolphin communication.
Wow, that just opens up a whole other level of complexity. It's amazing. So we're learning all this, but it makes you wonder, what happens if we do crack the code completely? Like, we can actually understand everything you're saying. Is that even a good thing? I mean, it feels like there's got to be some ethical stuff to consider there, right?
Right. Like, are we going to find out dolphins have been complaining about us this whole time? Should we be worried?
Well, maybe not complaining. But seriously, it's a big question. And it's one scientists are already thinking hard about.
Good. So what are the big concerns?
Well, on the one hand, some people think understanding dolphins could help us protect them even better. Like, if we knew exactly how noise pollution affected them, maybe we could change our behavior,
This makes sense. We could stop accidentally being such bad neighbors.
Yeah.
But then there's the other side. Some researchers say, hold on, just because we can understand them doesn't mean we get to speak for them.
Oh, right. Like, assuming we know what they're thinking just because we can translate the clicks and whistles.
Big difference there. So, yeah, it's complicated, and there are no easy answers.
Definitely something to think about. But for now, it seems like that's all way off in the future. Right now, it's about building those tools, getting more people listening. And that's what's so cool about this Setalunga project.
100%. It's such a great example of how anyone can get involved in cutting-edge science. You don't need a PhD to listen to dolphin sounds and help figure out what they mean.
So for anyone listening who's totally hooked on this now, where do they go to learn more? Maybe even sign up for Setalunga themselves.
Their website's the best place to start. They've got tons of info. You can even listen to some of the recordings, see the visualizations they've made from the data. It's really cool.
This has been amazing. I feel like we've barely scratched the surface, but in the best way possible.
I know, right? It really makes you think.
It does. So for everyone listening, next time you're near the ocean, maybe close your eyes for a second, listen to those waves, and imagine Cassini. Maybe those dolphins are saying more than you realize. Who knows? Maybe you could be the one to help us understand them.